Nash is known as a superstar and all-time great. But what no one seems to realize is that he is largely overrated. The only people who seem to know this is Bleacher Report, who wrote a few articles addressing this topic. In this video, I'm going to explain to you why Steve Nash is the most overrated player of all time. Before we start, I just want to say that I'm going to try not to be a hater. People love to hate on greatness and love to attack it in every way possible. I'm just simply pointing out that Steve Nash is an overrated player and he gets too much credit for how he plays. I'm not saying that he's a bad player, but I'm just saying he's not good enough to win 2 MVPs and he's not good enough to be a Hall of Famer. To prove a player is overrated, you have to look at his stats, his awards, and his ups and downs. For his career, Nash averaged 14.3 points per game, 8.5 assists per game, and 3 rebounds per game. From the first look at these stats, they don't look like a Hall of Famer stats, not even close to a 2-time MVP either. This might be because at the end of his career and the beginning, Nash wasn't that great. However, even if you look at the middle of his career, his prime, the stats aren't that great either. Let's move on. The positives of Nash are that he can spot the open man pretty much in his sleep, and he has great vision of the court when no one is guarding him. Key words, when no one is guarding him. Nash is a great shooter, there's no doubt about that. If you leave him wide open, he'll hit that jumper. Nash can also hit free throws too, seeing how he's 90+% shooter from the line. He's also had plenty of 50-40-90 seasons. A 50-40-90 season is when you shoot 50% from the field, 40% from beyond the arc, and 90% from the foul line. But does his efficiency really mean anything if he only scores 14 points a game? Now onto the negatives. People tend to believe that he's a great ball handler, but he's really not. Most of the assists that you see on his highlight reels or mixtapes are from either set plays on an alley-oop or in the open court when team's defense is not set up. This is when Nash can hit that home run pass with ease. But the biggest flaw in Nash's game is his defense. Yes, lots of point guards are defensive liabilities like Isaiah Thomas and Damian Lillard. However, most can get at least a few steals. And by a few, I mean 2, or like 1.5. Nash only averaged 0.7 for his career. The man doesn't play a lick of defense. He probably doesn't even know what defense is. Now let's look at his awards and his accolades. Steve Nash has 2 MVPs, 7 All-NBA teams, 3 of them being first team, and he's led the league in assists 5 times. Well, he has 2 MVPs, right? So let's look deeper into these MVPs. In the 2004-2005 season, his first MVP, he averaged 15.5 points per game, 11.5 assists per game, and 3.3 rebounds. Okay, so 15 points is a mediocre number. 11.5 assists is pretty good, but when paired with 15 points, but it's not like he scored many points anyways. His defense was also terrible. Now let's look at some players who had better seasons and should have won the MVP. Shaq probably should have won the MVP. He was second place in voting. He averaged 22.9 points, 10.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists, and 2.3 blocks. He had a high number of points. He grabbed a lot of rebounds, and he actually played defense. But there were many other players that were way better than Nash and had an awesome season. Kevin Garnett averaged 22.2 points, 13.5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.6 steals, and 1.4 blocks. LeBron James averaged 27 points, 7 assists, and 7 rebounds. There were many, many more players that had awesome seasons. If you want to see all of them, to the 2005-2006 season. So I'm just going to talk about Kobe Bryant this season because it was his best season. But there were many other players who deserved this award too. But since it's Kobe and it was his best season, I'm just going to talk about him. So Nash won the MVP award averaging 18.8 points per game, 10.5 assists per game, and 4.2 rebounds per game. This was arguably Kobe Bryant's best season, and he averaged 35.4 points, 5 rebounds, and 4.5 assists. Okay, the 2004-2005 MVP snub was one thing, but this is on a whole new level. Kobe Bryant averaged 35.4 points a game and led a team full of clowns to the playoffs. Kobe also dropped 81 points in a game. This is crazy. Kobe averaged 17 more points than Nash, more rebounds, and 6 less assists. Now, I don't know about you, but I would take 17 points over 6 assists. Also, don't forget, he was on the All-NBA First Defensive Team. This season was his best statistical season. If you want to look at the other players that could have won MVP, I'll put the link down for this season's MVP voting in the description. Go check it out. So we've established that Steve Nash didn't deserve both of his MVPs. But then, why exactly did he get them? Well, the media and public fell in love with the Mike D'Antoni style, which was wide open offense that called for a lot of scoring but absolutely zero defense. And remember, the media, news reporters, and sports analysts are the one who vote for MVP. Like literally, ESPN First Take was in love with him. I get it. Who doesn't want to see a lot of points and teams going up and down the court? But when you're a sports analyst and analyze and talk about sports for a living, you can't just look at someone's highlights. You have to look at the numbers. Yes, Nash has the ability to make the fancy passes that make SportsCenter top 10 night in and night out. But that doesn't mean he's a good player. Flashiness isn't everything. And that's pretty much it, guys. Steve Nash was the most overrated player of all time because the media fell in love with him. Comment below on what you think about Steve Nash, or if you think someone else is the more underrated player of all time. If you like my channel, be sure to subscribe. If you don't really like my channel, comment below on what you think I could do better. And be sure to watch my next video where I'm planning to do a player comparison. And with that, see you next time on Basically Basketball.
Last night took a L, but tonight I bounce back. Wake up every morning, by the night I count stacks. Knew that ass was real when I hit it, bounce back. You ain't getting checks. Last night took a L, but tonight I bounce back.